Hi guys, how you doing today? This is D. Durrell with D. Durrell Life Solutions. Today what I want to talk about is Black fatherhood. This is something that I know all too well. I've been a father for almost 24 years. I became a father at the tender age of 20 years old. During the time that I was a father, I was in college. I was not at that point financially um, at the level that I needed to become a father, based on the fact that I was only working part time. I was dependent on parents as I was working, and I was focusing on my education. Now, once I became a father, I made it a point to work more and earn more money so that I can have a hand in taking care of my child. So, as I became a black father, black fatherhood encompassed on the fact that I knew that sacrifice for self, for the good of my child, was in the best interest of my child, even in putting myself second, but at the same time trying hard to do the things as far as my education and training that I knew would benefit myself and my child and my soon to be wife long term. Many would say, what should black fatherhood look like? As you listen to many women, they tend to talk about the lack of black fatherhood and how the pressure in some way transfers to them. And in many instances, it can lead to where women are hardened, women are frustrated with men, and women tend to take on masculine roles and masculine mindsets, when in many times can harm their own development as a woman. See, we don't talk about that a lot. We focus a lot on what women are doing, but we don't talk about the harmful effects of them psychologically doing things that are of the opposite of their natural essence. The lack of black fatherhood produces women like that. You can even look at women. Just think about it. Think about the women that you know that grew up with their fathers. And I can guarantee you, in many instances, but not all, you will see differences in behavior, differences in the level of femininity, differences in the way they condone themselves and how they approach relationships. Black fatherhood fosters that for the young girls. It fosters masculinity for the young boys. The lack of it produces unaccountable men and women who are to me not conducive to having a relationship with, not conducive to being the true essence of their female selves. Black black masculinity in the household itself, black fatherhood, to me, should start by merely just being there, regardless of how well you can take care of your children, just being present. The lack of presence of the black male in the household itself has negative ramifications that, in my position, has developed into the lack of respect for masculine black men in our community. Matter of fact, I would go as far as to say it has, in many instances, minimized the very fact of you being there in the first place. In some instances, to me, in a very treacherous manner, creates the mindset of the black community, even from the young males who grow up in here, that there's no need for strong black men in the household nor in the community. Now, as you look at that, the perception and the reality says different, because they're saying and thinking and feeling these things And then we wonder why we don't have a real community, a functional, progressive, productive community. The lack of black fatherhood is the reason why the black community visually looks the way it does, is dysfunctional, is disorganized, and it's easily manipulated and taken advantage by others. The very presence of a large percentage or a healthy percentage of black men will change that immediately, and how you're being perceived by other groups. See, black fatherhood will tell young boys not to dress certain ways. Black fatherhood will teach young men to be men. Black fatherhood would get rid of this notion of black male dependency on their mothers, or this overpraise of their mothers. Black fatherhood teaches young black men that when they become a man, they're not beholden to their previous immediate family. You're beholden to your wife and the children that you have. Because what you're going to see is that from a man taking full responsibility for the family he created, not the family that you grew up in. See, it's a reason why you see guys that come upon money and success, they have a tendency to overly compensate for the lack of having a father by attempting to be the father, serving as the father to their siblings and being a husband to their mother. I've talked about this in previous videos. But black fatherhood teaches, fatherhood provides a model, not only for the men, but for the girls, the men, the women too. Black fatherhood provides balance. Black fatherhood prevents our young girls from being raped and molested, decreases it 4 to 5 times less likely to be raped or molested due to black fatherhood. 2 to 3 times more likely to graduate from high school. Black fatherhood will no longer allow this average black male having a 4th or 5th grade education, at least as far as reading level, to be almost at a high school level, at a high school to 12th grade level. Because in a black household, a black-led household, black father-led household, there's no excuses. There's black and white. There's no leniency on boys. There's no spoiling boys. There's no leeway. There's no mother struggling to make ends meet in lack of supervision. That black female no longer has to work as hard. You see, when I hear people in different sectors talking about the lack of black fatherhood, but then you turn around and say what black women don't need and what they, as modern black women, what they need or don't need. But throughout history, every group, every generation, or every empire, every, what I would say, era of women were seen upon as being modern. Okay, 20 years ago, modern women of 20 years ago. 30 years ago, modern women of 30. At some point, every span, every decade of women is considered modern. What's modern today will not be seen modern in 30 years. But one consistency is that those that function at a high level don't have to work as hard. You see, I don't think it's smart for black women to think because of the lack of black fatherhood causes you to work harder and earn less and save less and build less wealth. It puts your children in a better position. We have to quit making black life synonymous with struggle and pain and all of these negative things of life just not being enjoyable to thrive. Because see, the lack of black fatherhood produces that. The occurrence of black fatherhood makes it easier for everybody, because the rightful place of a black man is to make life easier for everybody around him. It is not for black women to do that, because black women as a whole don't make things easier for everybody. The focus is to just pretty much get by, to make do what I have to do. Isn't these some of the commonalities as it relates to the phrases that single black women say in order to make it and survive? I have to do what I have to do. But see, nobody wants to talk about what does that doing what I have to do consist of. And in many times, it may consist of things that they morally wouldn't typically do. But because you have to do what I have to do, I have to be the quote unquote, the father and the mother. You may do some things you may not be proud of. You may say things, you may act, and you may carry yourself in ways that's not necessarily typical of you, or what you may have had in mind when you were 8 years old playing with baby dolls, saying, I want to be married. This is the Barbie doll or whatever doll you were playing with, black, hopefully a black Barbie and a black male. I want to be married. I want to have children. Nobody envisioned with a doll, I just want to have sex with the male, have my kids. You can go by your business. I don't need you. If you want to be here, it's going to be your option. I'm going to take care of all these kids by myself. And struggle. And while you're struggling and working harder, other women of other races are not doing that. So black man, it's up to you to invest black fatherhood into the family, whether you're with the woman or not. I don't care about this thing about she's keeping me away from the child. Because yes, that does happen. But let's be honest, the most of those situations, you're volunteering not to be involved. And yes, it does happen. But in many cases, you're volunteering not to be involved. And the problem is that these same children grow up thinking black males are not beneficial and necessary in a family structure. And you put your black sons that you have ignored in positions around women who may say negative things and dilute and minimize the value of this black male. And compare that black male to your trifling butt. All of his life he has to hear of the lack of what a black man can do or is doing. But black fatherhood allows more wealth building. Black fatherhood allows the female to be in her natural role. Black fatherhood allows everybody around to function a lot better, because a true black father will make things easier for everybody to thrive. Because we're built like that, to do that. That's what black fatherhood is. Black fatherhood teaches his daughter the positive attributes to look for after men and experience an unconditional love that a father can give to that daughter. And seek men who exemplify that. Black son learns how to treat black women through his black father. Black father also teaches his black son how to carry himself, how to function, how to be a man, how to make decisions, how to be responsible, no excuses. That's what black fatherhood does. So I want you all to think about that as you're listening, for those who lack that black father, because many of you probably have. unfortunately, in our community, is like a virus. It has not gotten better for whatever reasons. And I know there are certain spaces and sectors in YouTube who think that it's all because of the black women doing a lot of things that led these black men to not be involved. But it's no excuse not to be a father to your children. I don't care what the woman is doing. Quit bickering with her. To be a father, take her to court. Afford to take her to court and allow the courts to do what they need to do. Just if you are wanting to be in your rightful place as a father. So I just wanted to end it at there. I wanted to have this discussion with you. I hope you enjoyed the video today on Black fatherhood. Because Black fatherhood allows the children to live in an environment that, to me, puts them in a position to be more successful. From the time they were born to the time they become an adult, Black fatherhood statistically shows that the presence is valuable to everybody. Is valuable to everybody. As opposed to without him, we have our hoods, our urban communities, increase in rainbow lifestyle behaviors, increase in all types of negativity, trauma that happens in the family because of that lack of protection, that lack of structure, and that lack of male presence. So this is D. Durrell with D. Durrell Life Solutions. Please subscribe and share.